Greetings, friends, crew member of our beloved, polluted, and unique spacecraft, which, since the last time we met, has taken another turn about its imaginary axis, and of course, continues creating events in full development. And we have all type of events taking place in our beloved and polluted, but we have a topic related to the Middle East that is, as always, represented by the Israeli expansion on the Palestine area, and they don't give up. And Israel was created as a resolution of the United Nations. And when the Palestinians look for something like, they should have some respect. However, people don't want to do so. So we are back to the events that are taking place in the Middle East, and about this, let us not forget that the Gaza Strip is still the biggest open ghetto on earth, violating every resolution of the United Nations. But there's people, whenever they have the support and the veto from Washington, they're playing together in the international stage, and they know that there's always calculated risk, and they tend to get away with it. So let's take a look at the events in full development. So today, we have a part of this reality that happens daily. Protesters building houses for the Bedouin people that Israel is trying to wipe away from the map. A Palestinian activist, Mohammed al-Habib, in a house in Wadi al-Akmar. These are basically boxes, containers that have been turned into homes in the valley. An Israeli settlement in the part above. Always they have the privileged zone for defense. It is a clear message. So we send this to Palestine wherever they are. It's our right to be in our land. From here we say that this land where we have built these structures is near the Bedouin community of Kal al-Ahmar that is being threatened of being demolished by Palestinian authorities. And if the Israeli authorities want to overthrow Khan al-Ahmar, thousands of Palestinians will come and will build the structures to live within. So this was the proposal. So, in accordance with Israel, in the part above of the column, they're putting together these boxes. They are just containers taken from airports, Bedouins from the Khan al-Ahmar community, trying to isolate this in order to have a space inside which has an adequate temperature. We can also see these smaller houses, these slums. We live in danger. It doesn't matter if we have neighbors or not. It will be better to have neighbors in order to keep our Palestinian land and hold on to it. And here, we have images of something similar to a rosary. And Ibrahim Abdullah stated, they say that they want to improve the situation of residents in this community, but when we saw the place that they want to bring us in the east of Al-Syria, this is close to a dump, and it's of course impossible to live there. So the Palestinian Authority, represented in this case by a Berekat, states the Palestinian state presented a statement as administration of the peripheral community focused on the war crimes that Khan al-Ahmar is facing, specifically the crimes of forceful displacement, ethnic cleansing, and destruction of civil property, which Palestinians face every day. Elisarilla, this is the west margin. Israeli authorities with the caravans there, bringing the pre-manufactured houses, and they build them as well as taking the land. And they work around these houses that are, of course, very different to the other ones. They have everything needed. They have AC, and there's also some other spaces left in the background. And these are trucks that are close to the caravans, which is a very free translation that I agree with. Palestinian authorities state that the United States have attacked the international law by cutting the funds of the United Nations. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ali Al-Malik, stated, the UNRWA represents a legal, ethical mandate for the Palestinian people and their cause. The cancellation of the operations of the UN for this means the elimination of history as well as the rights of Palestine, and we fully reject this from happening. They should reject everything that the states and Israel are doing in order to distort the basis of international law as well as the rights of people that are unalienable. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Jordan, Ayman Safadi, stated, looking for more support, the Kingdom, Jordan, together with Egypt and Palestine, and together with the European Union, will hold a meeting on the General Assembly of the United Nations in this month. This meeting will have the objective of reassuring the WPS political perspective and also look for alternative forms of support that could lead to closing the financial deficit that the agency has reported for this year, as well as ensuring financing for the following years. However, there's never enough funds for the Palestinian causes. The Commissioner of the UMRA states, I humbly request all of you to ensure that promises made are then transferred. We should also think about the possibility of new donations at this critical time, support their endeavor in order to mobilize other members and states of General Assembly for them to also contribute with additional funding. And I would also have another request. Support should be shown in 2018 for this cause to be taken the next year. This would be extremely important. This is the meeting of ministers of the Arab League in full development. This is the outside of the UMRA. And the Minister of Foreign Affairs stated on Tuesday that the decision of President Donald Trump of suspending funds for Palestinians as just another crime. Abbas sinks in an important river of India. This is just in. At least 55 people are killed. How often we see these disasters in India? People trying to rescue survivors from the buses. There are some corpses as well. And here, Narendra Modi stated, the event with the bus in Telangana is going beyond words. There's anguish due to the loss of lives, as well as solidarity with the 94 people on board of the bus who died, at least half of them. Mistreated families praying for the recovery of moral and emotional wounds, which is not easy. An overcrowded bus fell into a gorge in India, killing 55 people. Zimbabwe declares emergency due to cholera in Harare after the number of deaths added to 20. See how filthy it is. This all leads to an epidemic of cholera, a disease that was eradicated in other places. There's trash around the road. The local level, well, everyone throws garbage, including used diapers, and the result is that we've lost our children due to cholera. We don't even know how to manage this. As people, we do not know how to keep our environment clean. Why is there dirty water everywhere? They can't even give us containers, so how do they expect us to live with health? And then a resident, Jembio Sherry Muchambaya, stated, We are done of having all these dumps here. There is not a single reason for throwing trash like this. The council doesn't answer, and the parliament has barely visited this place. They should solve the situation that we are dealing with. See how's the life in the third world. Residents walking, water everywhere, children walking home and jumping over sewers that stink, water as well. Glenview, Shona, this is the zone. I don't know what's nice about this view. We look after the children. They go to school and preschool. We know where this disease comes from, and it continues spreading. Tendai Chitsona, a resident, stated, "We are facing water scarcity, and people, however, are dying of cholera. The municipality is closing water supply. It's unbelievable. However, there are water lines that are being flooded, and we've seen this, and we've seen what happens. Cholera is killing people as I speak. I know lately died in this neighborhood, and there's of course a risk for it spreading around." So Zimbabwe has denounced and declared a spread of cholera in Harare, the capital, on Tuesday after 20 people died due to cholera. They had to wait for 20 to die to declare the emergency. Obadiamojo minister stated that over 2,000 people have been infected due to drinking polluted water. So they speak to heaven right now. The prince leader of Korea, the main leader, meets once again with the legislator of China and has welcoming activities. An important contact. Lee Shan-soo shaking hands with Kim Jong-un, grandson of Kim Jong-un, in the meeting room where we are right now. Applause for the attendees. The wife of Kim Ri-so-yu attending the meeting. Attendees welcoming. Kim watching the artistic performance to honor the guests. And this with a protocol that has widened relationships. It is very, very important for North Korea in this case. Kim at the reception, Kim Jong-hoi, president of the Communist Party of North Korea, and welcoming words at the reception. Ri-sol-ju attending the show. So it was an artistic, beautiful event in order to honor the guests. The leader of Korea, Kim Jong-un, met with Lee Shan-soo with a specific artistic performance and a great reception for Lee and the Chinese delegation led by himself. This is a very important party when the Democratic Republic of Korea celebrates their 70th anniversary with the special envoy of President Xi Jinping that shows the amnesty between both countries. The Diada, this is very important for Catalonia, where separatists demand independence. This is the crowd that we see every year on this day in the main boulevard of downtown Barcelona, waving their flags for the independence, as well as the Esteladas, which is the independent flag for Catalonia. Giants walking and dancing in the street, also flags for independence. This is an old tradition. A crowd and a picture of the former President Charles Puigdemont by reading lampposts in Catalonian. people at the balconies, and flags for independence hanging from the balconies, and that are carried on the bodies as well.
Los gritos de libertad,
shouts for freedom, Puigdemont in any sign and in every place. Reading, let's make the Catalonian Republic. People showed their signs of support for the Catalan politicians that have been jailed. Flags for independence, the estelada due to the Lone Star, and Matthew Savarese for the independence of Catalonia, resident in Canada. This is in French and in Catalan as well. Provided his statement in the celebration that shows the patriotic sense of the people from Catalonia. In English and French as well, with the messages for independence. There's, of course, a great evidence that the majority of Catalonians are there for this cause. A very deep message sent to Madrid. The flag with the star. The demands go beyond this. They demand the freedom of certain prisoners. This person who lives in Canada stated, "We want to vote." This is very similar to other people that are oppressed around the world. That's why Catalonia is a pacifier movement, and we need to get rid of their beliefs, the political beliefs. This is a shame to see in Europe in 2018. This needs to change. Isabel, 49, manager, stated, demanding the freedom of our prisoners and exiled for us to live in peace in a democratic country where we can decide what to do and what we want to do. And this gentleman, a sovereign engineer, stated, "We're here to demand the liberation of the political prisoners of jails in order to carry out the mandate of October 1st. That's why we voted for the implementation of the Catalonian Republic." The party represented in the flags for independence, Estelada, also wearing mask of the former President Puigdemont, show the will of all Catalonians to be independent from Spain. El Segadors. This is the anthem for independence there. This is in downtown Barcelona with signs stating "You're not alone." Amnesty. Manifestors walking and singing for the liberation of Catalonian leaders in jail. The Diada is the day for independence that they haven't yet achieved, but the crisis can be felt. What is the Diada? The Diada is celebrated the 11th of September each year, which commemorates the fall of Barcelona to the Bourbon army during the succession wars. Catalonian troops for Charles III were defeated by Philip V. This meant the abolishment of Catalonian institutions. That's why today we remember the bravery of those who fought to defend Barcelona in 1714. They vindicate the right of Catalonians as well as the freedom of the community, and this can be felt with the presence of the flags as well as the star. This is called Estelada. This came from Vanguardia for the information of our source.
Pasado de largo los Estados Unidos,
So the United States and Russia take the word in Idlib. This is the United Nations, and several Security Councils commemorating September 11. This is the Security Council of the United Nations.
Taking Russia and Iran.
So, the United States, while the delegates listen, have taken Russia and Iran under their word, and they want to protect Idlib from more violence. They don't care the type of weapons or methods, but the United States oppose any type of upscaling of violence in Idlib. All the members of the Security Council should feel the same. It's time for Russia to stop wasting their time when speaking about Syria.
As constructive actors in Syria.
Russia and Iran have had all the opportunities to show their credibility as constructive, as actors in Syria. But what have they done with these opportunities? They have created so-called separation zones of Syria that have violated systematically the ambassador of Russia for the United Nations in the Security Council meeting, and the ambassador stated, everything said today, everything we hear in Idlib is not only due to concern of the citizens there, but we're also concerned just like you are. But this can be explained due to an attempt. It is somehow possible to have a terrorist enclave in Syria and thus impede the establishment of Syrian government over their own land, and we appeal to you. We urge to restart these attempts and for them to become a positive part of the political process. The ambassador of Iran for the United Nations, Gaman Ali Geshaviro, stated,
"The right to determine the future of Syria belongs."
The right to determine the future of Syria belongs specifically to the Syrians. That's why cooperation, in order to establish and start with the Constitutional Committee, is fundamental. In parallel to these efforts, there should be the proper conditions for the safe and voluntary return of all refugees and people displaced internally.
And internally displaced persons.
So, the ambassador of the United States, Nick Haley, stated that it's time for Russia to stop wasting the time about peace in Syria. So it's a very important hit. The Minister of Defense of Russia stated, in Idlib, a chemical attack has already started. This came from the portal Russia Today of RT. So different channels of the Middle East United States have reached the Syrian city of Izrazur in order to record a chemical attack, according to the Ministry of Defense of the Russian country. Inhabitants of Idlib have reported that in Jisr al-Shura there's been a chemical attack carried out by the Damascus troop allegedly against the civilians. This morning, the city that we spoke has been visited by different channels of the Middle East and also the United States, according to the Russian Center for the Parties. The script includes support from activists of the civil defense, the White Helmets, after an alleged use of barrel bombs with dangerous substances from the Syrian army. It looks like a scandal. In order to confirm the truth of this and the quick take of ground by the White Helmets, the terrorists have taken Jisr al-Sur from the Kirvar city, 2 containers with venomous substance made mainly of chlorine. The center has stated that before the day is over, all the materials of this montage should be given to the channels in order to issue them after they're published on the social networks. Speaking about the substances that are being used for this scene, the international that is called Dossier has stated that this is not a normalized chemical substance, particularly from the international community, but they are chemical elements that are easy to manipulate as well as to transport and get. How these substances have been introduced in Syria, he stated that they have been introduced in the same way that drugs are brought, just as weapons. There is a collaboration of states to do so. There are trafficking networks in the jihadist territories that provide everything needed. According to the analyst, during the last weeks, Moscow has warned a false chemical attack that was taking place in Idlib that would provide a justification to attack Syria. So they gave us dates and crackers. This is information that even includes children. It's an information war. 2 Americans have attacked Deir al-Zor with bombs, explosive bombs, a chemical agent that is forbidden by international communities according to the Russian Center for Conciliation of Parties in Syria. RT also stated Abdurrahman Al-Sajjara uses or words an improvised anti-gas mask in Syria. The orders will come from abroad. Russia speaks about the provocation that will take place in Syria. The Ministry of Defense of Russia. Today is the 45th anniversary of the assassination of Salvador Allende, who governed Chile since 1970 to 1973, and also the 45th anniversary of the military coup of 1973 that killed him and that ended his government that was democratically chosen. I also remember the famous singer Victor Jara. I interviewed him before going there. I told him, don't go there, you know what's going to happen. Well, and it happened to him. In the Morandé, in Palacio de la Moneda, his body was taken out after the bombings of his own armed force. Bombing the house for notes. Then Letelier was also killed, as well as his American assistant, Ronnie Moffitt, 26-year-old, as part of the scope of the Condor operation, with the direct participation of Cuban terrorists Guillermo Sampol, José Dionisio Suárez Esquivel, Virgilio Paz Romero, and Alvin Rose, all of them from the fascist MNC, the CIA, and the FBI. And this happened in the States. Recordings in the States show that Richard Nixon, while speaking about the president of Chile, Salvador Allende, spoke about him as the son of a bitch, whose ass needed to be kicked. This is a quote. This is a tape of Nixon and Kissinger. This is not personal. I defend the people of Chile in order to make the transformations, in order to face a local and better situation for prosperity. I think that this is a clear position. I admire this. I am sure that this will be part for the people, because leaders are willing to die. The people are willing to die. They're willing to do anything that's needed. On September 11, 1973, the palace in the heart of Santiago de Chile was woken by fire. Around 11 a.m., tanks and planes of the armed forces under the orders of Augusto Pinochet Ugarte, general, opened fire against the presidential building. The army threw gas and bombs and striking against the president Salvador Allende. Minutes before, at 10:15 a.m., Allende issued his last message to the Chilean people on Radio Magallanes. This is the last chance. The air forces have bombed the towers of Radio Postales and Radio Corporación. I am not bitter, but disappointed being betrayed. Soldiers of Chile, commanders, admirals, together with Mr. Mendoza, crawling general that just yesterday spoke about the loyalty to the government. Based on these facts, I have to say, I will not quit. I will not resign. This is a historical moment, and I thank the loyalty of the people. And I am certain that the seed that we are planting in the consciousness of thousands and thousands of Chileans will never be shut. They have the strength. They could hate us, but social processes will not stop. Not with crime, not with force. History is ours, and it's created by the peoples. The people shall continue. The people should not surrender.
Momentos más tarde,
moments later, General Palacios went to the independence room of the palace. The body of Salvador Allende was laying. Palacios spoke with the radio officer and provided his report. Mission accomplished, he said. Palace taken over, President death. The fire, the death and the support of the government of the states under the presidency of Richard Nixon created a neoliberal economic model and transformed the coup into the most violent one in the history of Latin America of the 20th century. During the first 6 months in power, the dictatorship and command of Augusto Pinochet killed around 10,000 people, and in a year, apprehended 90,000 people, taking a systematic violation of human rights until 1990. Workers of my nation, I am faithful. You will overcome this. As men, this is a bitter moment about the treason. Continue, however, that sooner rather than later, the squares will be open where the free men will walk. Long live Chile, long live the people, long live the workers. Once again, the states impede Hernando Calvo Espina Ryder to get on a plane to Cuba. This is the portal of Rebellion, Saturday, September 8, 2018. Once again, I wasn't allowed to board the plane that was going to take me to Havana. This happened in Orly, the airport of Paris. My visa, which was obtained in the consulate of Cuba, as well as my passport fully valid. Since Friday, I suspected problems. One Corsair Airlines did not allow me to check in online. Yesterday in the morning, I went to the airport and I was unable to check into the plane. This is the statement from Paris of Ryder Hernando Calvo Espina, recorded by Cristóbal Nilo Campos. This is just another way to see how the long-scale persecution is taking place. This is undoubtedly a very abusive situation. Well, I should be arriving in 2 hours to Havana, capital of Cuba. However, I am still here in Paris. The reason due to which I'm not in Cuba, but here is because this morning, the early airport, when I went to check in order to travel with Corsair Airlines, a French company, I was denied for the third time my right to board the plane and freely go to Cuba because I was forbidden by a country which isn't either France or Cuba. Since yesterday, I started being concerned to think about the city where I was going to be arrived because I was checking in online, but I received a message that stated that the passenger cannot check in and the check-in should take place in the airport. So I went too early 4 hours before my flight. It was still empty by the time I arrived. And when I scanned my passport, the person at the counter saw that the check-in wasn't allowed, and this lady told me the problem could be that you only have one of your last names set and you have two last names on your passport, or either you are lacking a visa. I showed her my visa, which was bought yesterday in the Cuban consulate. However, regardless of this, she was unable to check me in. So she spoke to her manager, a lady as well, that wasn't only controlling or organizing all flights to Cuba, but also to other countries of the Caribbean. It took her a while. The lady came back. I asked her what was happening, and she said they're making a call. They're going to see what's happening because it could be a problem with Cuba. She went back, and when she came back, I asked her what was happening, and she said, yes, they're speaking to Cuba because apparently the authorities don't allow you to go to Cuba. And I said, why not? I was yesterday at the Cuban consulate, but she didn't realize that I was listening to her. And she told her colleague, she's speaking with Cuba in English. However, he or she is calling the States. Then I realized that it was something different that was happening. Then the person in charge came back and told me, sir, you cannot travel because there's an order of the Cuban government. You cannot go to the country. I said, it's impossible. I was in Cuba a month ago, and yesterday I got my visa directly in the Cuban consulate. And this is not going to happen in a 24-hour term. I'm going to Cuba to finish the documentary, and everyone is waiting me, the people and institutions that I'm working for. She told me she had nothing else to say. And then I asked her, who should I speak to in Cuba in order to call them? She said, okay, you can call them. And this lady gave me a phone number that she called, and the person that answered, and she told me in English about this, so I wrote all this down, and she told me, if you want, call. And I said, you cannot call this number, this American number. And she said, okay, if you want, you go and ask the Corsair agency to see what they can do. Well, because at least need to get my money back or take a different flight. And then I went there, and the only solution was given was telling, okay, this is a different flight for a fortnight away. But if you're not going to allow me to board today, in 15 days you're not going to allow me. And they also told me you have to pay 100 euro for the change of flight. And I said I'm not going to do so, and I want you to tell me who you spoke with because you weren't speaking to Cuba. She said I was going to call, and the manager stated that the Cubans wasn't allowing me, the government of Cuba wasn't allowing me to go there. And I said, you're lying. You're lying because I called the embassy. I spoke with the person in charge, who was at that moment in the embassy, and told me that there was no reason. None of us know about any problem that you may have to come to Cuba. You have your visa, you have your passport, you have everything you need. I have a French passport, it's important to mention. Thus, I told them, you are lying. Don't tell me to call Cuba because you haven't done so. These are American numbers. Because we had already asked the people that was together with me, well, we had already asked the reason, and there was a +1, and this is the number that belongs to the States. This is the code. So I said, "You are lying." I say, "It's okay for you to tell me that I am not flying. That's okay, but don't lie to me. This is not about the Cuban government. The American government is the one that is not allowing me to fly. It's not only to Corsair, but also to the government of France to not allow me to board the plane, which was a French plane. So please, don't lie to me." And they kept on denying this until, at a point, another person told me, "Don't call my colleague a liar." And I said, "She is lying, lady, because she didn't call Cuba, she called the United States, and the United States gave the order for me not to board this plane." And she said, "Okay, she called the United States." And I said, "Why is she lying then?" And she said, "Okay, that's right, but don't call her liar." And I said, "Okay, if she's lying in order to set me in a position against the government of Cuba and to cover the order gave by the United States. And I don't like the fact that even though I live in France, you're getting orders from the United States because allegedly there was a 5-minute flight over the United States, and since 2009 I'm not allowed in the United States, so it's very sad. This is the third time it has happened, but today it happened in France, that the government of the United States dictates an order to the government of France and to air companies with a French flag. This is what happened to me. Tomorrow I will continue with my claims. But I was very sad with the situation, not only because I was allowed to travel, but by being treated and the company attempting to put me against the Cuban government by saying that they were the ones that didn't allow me to travel. We called the United States with these numbers, and they answered the Ministry of Transportation of the States, and they said that they were the ones who gave the order. They didn't say so, but those were the phones that called, and this was the Department of Transportation of the United States, the one that gave the order of not allowing me to travel. Okay, the numbers that you can see are the numbers of Lagatos Joseph from the National Transportation Security Service, that the manager of Corsair called. According to Calvo Espina, it was a call to the States, not to Cuba. 86658-44501 and 240-473-1665. This is, of course, clear. Today, I would like to do something different and pay a tribute after this international shameful event where more than one government have allowed to happen. Now, let's see the capital of Venezuela in the map. So, Director, please, I would like to introduce our guest. Leo Vargas. He is a singer, arranger, player of different instruments, as well as a cultural promoter, being in the music industry since 3 with Carreño, then studied violin, participated in the Los Teques Orchestra, and learned to play the harp in the workshops of the Big Asian with the group Carrucha and the youth group Saranda, and he has been invited to Vasallos del Sol. He learned to play Afro-Venezuelan percussion in Caracas, inside the country, with Daniel Gil for the instrument cuatro. He is a self-learner of guitar and land percussion, learned vocals with Alan Gonzalez, and studied arrangement and composition in Ars Nova. Has composed different works and played in Caracas and other states of the country, as well as abroad in Mexico, El Salvador, Cuba, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, Brazil, Ecuador, Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina, Chile, the United Kingdom, Italy, Turkey, and Taiwan. Has participated with his own production and performance for different solo artists of Venezuelan music for dance and theater, as well as a wide participation with different musicians: Benjamín Breva, José Cho Rodríguez, Leonel Ruiz, Gustavo Aranguren, Che Hurtado, Nene Quintero, Gustavo Carucci, David Peña, Carlos Rodríguez, Miguel Chacón, Roberto Girón, Rubén Rebolledo, Vladimir Quintero, Rafael Querales, Henry Paul Díaz, and currently has cultural projects. He was the spokesperson in 2 different projects in the Council of Culture and the Major State of Culture, has been in charge of the coordination of radio and different tasks of the Ministry of Popular Power for Culture. And what are the different coincidences musically among different cultures, and how is this reflected in this interesting instrument, gongsheng, the one that can be described as the Chinese harp? I got the chance to see one in China, but I have never seen one as beautiful as this one. So now you speak. Welcome. Well, thank you very much, Walter, Professor. It's a pleasure of being in this show. And I'm also honored of bringing in music. In this case, this beautiful instrument, guzheng, is a Chinese harp. Guzheng, well, it means gu means ancient, and sen means right, vertical. It is the translation that comes from an instrument that's over 2,500 years old. Say number again, 2,500 years old. So this instrument was born in the times of the fighting kingdoms in China. Then it was spread in the Qi dynasty, that is pronounced Xi, actually. And then it got the number Ti-Seng. Well, this name, the name of the instrument with the dynasty. And then it became mainstream not only in China, but in other parts of Asia, Japan, Korea, Mongolia. And this whole region started getting this instrument as one of the most emblematic instruments of Asia. And right now, in our capital as well. And the manual work, as well as the decor, including the noble structure with the best of woods, is impressive. Yes, it is a beautiful instrument. It has some figures of the Chinese culture, like the dragon, the quintessential icon of these cultures and of the spirituality of China. Today is the birthday of President Bashar al-Assad of China, a young president with a history ahead of him. Maybe we could dedicate a song to him. Well, of course, it's your time, so show us how this sounds. I'm going to play a song that honors the similarity of our continent, Indo-America, with Asian histories, Asian cultures, pre-Columbian ones, with also African Asian cultures, also from Asia, not only with the pentatonic scale of this instrument, which has 5 notes, but also a very noble philosophy that honors this. This song honors the Ubuntu philosophy of the Asian tribes of Africa. It was taken by Nelson Mandela after defeating apartheid in order to reunify South Africa. This philosophy is also received by Indo-Americans when they greet each other by saying, I am you, you are me. So we are the same, we're part of the same organism, and this is what Ubuntu means. They also greeted in La Quechua, in Quechua, which meant within Asian cultures, there is a philosophy, a Semitic philosophy that means this integration with the whole. And I'm speaking about this because these words are part of my song, as well as awamo, awamu, which are the words in Yukta, I am you, you are me. And this is the song.
Multiétnico y pluricultural desde aquel día que la tierra concibió. Pareciéramos distintos pero unidos por la vida que da ritmo al corazón. Van matices variopintos de un amor que mil pinceles dibujaron hasta Dios. Y en su rostro las culturas reflejaron la más pura y ancestral inspiración. Ubuntu, Ubuntu, Samadhi Tato Amasi. Tú eres yo y yo soy tú. Ubuntu, Samadita, tu amasí. Tú eres yo y yo soy tú. Agu, amo, amo, agu. Es el cielo nuestro techo y es la tierra nuestro lecho que moviéndose varió. Fue Pangea el grande trecho y siendo Berín tan estrecho, sin embargo nos unió. Si es que lates cuando cantas, si es que ríes cuando bailas, tú eres en la creación que moldea el universo y en las manos para versos, para vivir en comunión. Ubuntu, Ubuntu, Samadita, tu amasí. Tú eres yo y yo soy tú. Agu, amo, amo, agu. Ubuntu, Ubuntu, Samadita, tu amasí. Tú eres yo y yo soy tú. Agu, amo, amo, agu. La, la, la.
Impresionante la sonoridad.
Impressive to listen to the sound of this instrument. It is a beautiful instrument, but it is manufactured with a lot of love because the work that it has acoustically. I've seen some concert guitars that are impressive, but this goes beyond. So speak a little bit more about this instrument. Well, this is an instrument. Every chord creates a harmonic sound. Each sound, the harmonic sounds are different frequencies that are lost, even from the perception that humans may have in their ears. So there, the pentatonic scale leads for all these sounds to match and not to clash one with the other. So it's a complete and absolute harmony. So if you are to play every single string of this, it could sound like a chord. None of them clash together, so this is a pentatonic scale, which matches the Asian culture as well as the African cultures. Also, the Indo-American cultures. These are coincidences of ancestral cultures, and I think they're not only coincidences or casualties. They are the cause of this collective information that we have all this information, as Jung said, as the muse, as inspiration. We also get this information, and this is how this instrument was created. I am working with it. I am writing an album. It is important to say that I need some support in order to complete it for the fusion of different Venezuelan genres. This is translated also. There's 15 songs, and I have a watire drum, which is also together with the Chinese harp. Very deep roots here. Of course, together with Venezuela. One time continents were together, and there are deep roots that match together, the Pangea. Tell me now, what else can you provide of the many things that you know about this to those who are just as surprised as me with such a beautiful harp as this? It is, of course, not the same one as the classic harp of the symphonic orchestra, but it has a beautiful sound. It is incredible to see it. Well, this instrument, I bought it at a festival. I played in China, and the musicians... So you brought it from China? Yes, I brought it from China. So musicians think that go there to have fun, but no, the moment that you have, the first thing you do is to look for a music store. And I was able to see this harp, and it was hanging there, and I played just a single string and decided to buy it, and I started exploring this instrument. Well, thank God and thanks to our Venezuelan culture, I play a little bit of llanera harp. It was my first instrument when I was 7. So no one should speak about their like sense of yours. No, nothing about that. There's even songs about Venezuela that I can play with this instrument. These songs have been played in different concerts that I've played. I've been honored to play it at some concerts. And now, speaking about the llanera harp and this instrument, I am applying the different ways of playing the harp, so the technique, the way in which I use my fingers, and in different songs, even the charaqueos that are played with the cuatro instrument, the idea is that our culture and the cultures of the world should merge together and say that we are just one. Time is over. Maybe some more music? Without your voice, only the sound.
Leo
Vargas, songwriter, as well as player of different instruments, researcher, as well as cultural promoter. Thank you for being here with us today. Thank you, Walter, and thank you to all your team. I am honored. And honestly, you are honoring our country, and it's always beautiful to bring my music and this message, not only to Venezuela, but also the whole continent and the rest of the world, because I know that we are connected. Let's say that honoring honors us. So, whatever you may be on that side of the screen, thank you for allowing us to be there with you. From Studio 3 of Venezolana Televisión, VTV, Victor Tango Victor, here I close Dossier, the Doyen program in all the Western Hemisphere of international satellite information, and also for musical surprises, as in the old times with the radio. I would like to go back to radio. My old collection wants to be aired, and I do have some gems, not as this, but other gems. This was Walter Martinez, producer and host of Dossier. Director, the floor is all yours.